Rauscher here. Today we're going to be talking about Nugget 247. Fears of might happen are creating a never-ending war. And we need to figure out how to end that never-ending war. Big idea number one. You and I know, and we know in our hearts, that we're headed into a future that we really don't want to go to, okay? We know that. For example, we know that what we're doing is not sustainable. In other words, our environment is telling us that we're not living in the right relationship with the planet. Our economics are unsustainable. We know that. And we're caught in a never-ending war that doesn't seem to be doing anything except driving us into bankruptcy. And every bomb we drop creates more terrorists. So let's take a look here at what maybe would be a solution to this in terms of an overall approach to how we deal with this future that we really don't want to go to. Let's take a look at, and again, I got a whole bunch of these, but I'm just going to talk about a couple of the more obvious ones. False beliefs. What are the false beliefs that are really driving us into the future? One, obviously, is the belief of unlimited economic expansion. That's nonsense. That's a myth, and it's a very dangerous one that we've talked about before. But there's an equally important one, and that is that we are assuming terrorists are absolute evil. They're less than human. They chop people's heads off, okay? What we're really looking at, the false belief, is that these are only a few extremists. And yeah, they're dangerous, and yeah, they are pretty evil. But when we start to lump an entire culture or an entire religion into that evil, terrorist, less than human, it gives us permission to go into a never-ending war to try to bomb them out of existence. And we know that's not going to happen. These are ideological beliefs in the Middle East that go back centuries. You can't bomb someone into a new level of consciousness. That does not work, okay? And the never-ending war is kind of proof of that, okay? So let's first of all recognize that the terrorists are not absolute evil. We have a few people that are, but we can't lump all of the people from the Middle East into that category. So let's look at some truths. This is the next big point. The never-ending war, that's NEW in parentheses, is only increasing terrorists. For example, when we bomb innocents. Those innocents have relatives, and those relatives are going to get pretty upset and turn in, and they're going to be fodder, if you will, for the terrorist propaganda. Think about it. If someone bombed our family, wouldn't we want to be? Wouldn't we be angry? Wouldn't we want to get revenge? Especially when these bombs are from a nation that's privileged, a nation that really doesn't understand us. Every bomb that we drop increases instability in the Middle East. So rather than settling things down by killing a couple of individuals, what we're doing is we're destabilizing an entire part of the world. And we've been doing it now for quite a long time. We need a change in consciousness. We need a different way to go, or we are going to end up in this future that we really don't want to go to, okay? And we certainly don't want it for our children and grandchildren. So, next big idea. What do we need to do? Well, a couple of things. This article goes into it again in depth. We need to begin to understand the concept of mutual benefit. We have the 1%, and then we have the whole middle class. But more importantly, we have a Western culture that represents maybe 10, 20% of all the humans on the planet. And then we have another 80% who are starving to death, who have no hope, that they're dealing with grinding poverty. Until we can recognize the idea of mutual benefit, and that is that every human being on the planet wants the same things that we do: food, peace, a hopeful future for ourselves and our children. We don't want to starve. We don't want to be dealing in instability and hunger and all of the stuff that comes with that. Every person on the planet simply wants what we have and what we value and appreciate. Mutual benefit means that there has to be a shared wealth of all the resources extracted from the planet, not just a privileged few. We're focused in this election on the 1%, but it's more. It's deeper than that. What we've got to do is to begin to share, somehow develop an economic system that begins to share for mutual benefit of every person on the planet. And that's the shift that has to begin to happen. And obviously it's not going to happen overnight. What's important is the mutual benefit, and the resources and the wealth that we've created in the Western world can't go just to the 1%, but at the same time, they can't go just to the Western world. Otherwise, we create a world that is angry at us, and a world that is envious of us, and a world, most importantly, that believes that we really don't care. All we want to do is bomb a bunch of individual terrorists. Not a good message to send the world. So, next big idea, and this is the big one. We really only have two choices. If we want to begin to create a future that is going to be a future we want to live in, and we want our children to live in, then we have two choices. One, we have to bomb into oblivion 80% of every human being on the planet. Now, why do I say that? Because we're already doing it by with the never-ending war. We just happen to be doing it right now in the Middle East. But basically what it's saying is that the more bombs that we drop, every time a bomb goes off, we have more terrorists in the world. So if we're going to bomb, then we got to keep bombing until there are no more terrorists, right? I mean, this is logical. And if there are no more terrorists, that means we've just killed 80% of the population of the planet. Because the more bombs we drop, the more terrorists we're going to have, and the more bombs we're going to have to drop, and then the more terrorists we're going to create. And what do? We end up in a never-ending war, and that's where we're at. So that's choice A. Obviously not a very reasonable choice, right? Choice B is we have to learn to make a shift in consciousness from I thinking to we thinking. And what do I mean by that? It means that our ego has to stop seeing us as the center of the universe, and everything and everyone else out there is other. We can't create a world of other, because the others, then we can throw the labels on them of terrorism or ultimate evil, absolute evil, that they're less than human for some reason. Or we can just be angry with them because they don't agree with us, right? So that's at the ego level. But we also need to move from an I focus to a we focus in our nationalism. We are a very nationalistic country, and that's an extreme I focus. It's all about us and protecting us and building walls to protect us and killing terrorists to protect us. But we don't care about the rest of the world. Nationalism is a very dangerous form of I thinking, and it is not going to advance the idea of mutual benefit for others. If we're going to increase hope and reduce hunger and poverty, then we have no choice except to embrace the concept of mutual benefit and we thinking. Until we're willing to do that, I think the never-ending war is going to continue, and the future that we don't want to go to is to continue being created. Only B ends the never-ending war and creates the future we want. These are hard concepts for us to think about because it means that there's going to be some big changes. We're going to have to stop thinking about our privilege and what we have and start thinking about mutuality and beginning to find ways to constructively offer the resources of the planet to all humans. Okay? Big idea, but it's a really, really important one. I hope you read this article. I've got a lot more material in here that supports this basic thinking, but it'll give you a way to think about all the rhetoric we're hearing in the political campaigns as we move into the elections in 2016. Okay? It'll give you a different way to hear those words. All right. Read the article. If you find it helpful, consider sharing it or reposting it. And thank you, if you do, for supporting the work that we're doing here at Stony Hill, both the writing and the videos. We'll see you down the road. Have a good day.